Right, so just like my preview for the Champions League final day, I wanted to bring you a review of every single game, just a rundown of every game and what it's meant for the table. So to do this, I'm going to do some split screen action here. I'm going to have the table on the right and I'm going to have all the results on the left because, you know, again, criticize the Champions League results and the new kind of format and everything all you want, but I tell you what, it's made this final day so much more exciting. All the games were played tonight on Wednesday night, all 18 of them across the continent, and there were very few of them that were dead rubbers. Every single one of them had at least one team fighting for something. There were very few that had both teams out. In fact, I think there were literally only a couple of games out of these 18 that were so. So I'm going to go through all of these and what it means for the table, because the table is finalized. We know our final 8. There they are. Those are the guys that are all into the round of 16 automatically, and then these are the 16 teams below them that are into the playoffs, and the playoffs are going to be absolutely incredible. Some huge teams in here: Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Paris Saint-Germain, Juventus, Manchester City, Borussia Dortmund. Huge teams in here. It's going to be absolutely manic in the playoff round when that is drawn. But here we go, guys. Let's dive into all these games. So I'll just go in the order that they are shown here on my screen on the left. So we're going to start with PSV and Liverpool. Now, Liverpool played a relatively weakened side. In the words of Arne Slot, this game did not really matter to them, really. But PSV, meanwhile, they were trying to chase down, potentially getting through to the round of 16 automatically, but they were probably going to stay in the playoff places, and that's exactly what happened. They stayed in 14th. Liverpool, despite their loss, they managed to stay top because Barcelona only managed to get a draw at home against Atalanta. But I'll just go into what happened here. Cody Gakpo got the opening goal of the game with a penalty. Bakayoko equalised. Then Harvey Elliott took the lead again for Liverpool in the 40th minute, and Salibari got the equaliser for PSV heading into halftime. I think PSV actually haven't lost at home since 2022. I think Leicester City were the last team to beat them. I don't know if that's in Europe or just in general, but either way, that's a really impressive record. And Pepe got the final goal of the game just before halftime there in the 6th minute of added on time at the end of the first half. Nalo, got a red card late on in this one. Liverpool were really pushing to get an equaliser in this one, but it was not to be in the end. Almost getting a 4th goal right in the dying embers of the match as well. But yeah, it did not happen for them. But it's still a huge win, a huge scalp for PSV to take at the end of this, and they'll go into the playoffs on a high, really, when it comes to Liverpool. They won't have to worry about anything in Europe until the round of 16. Let's speak about Bayern Munich next. Now, Bayern did have a chance of getting through to the round of 16 automatically with a victory. They did manage to get a victory, but it was not enough. I mean, look how tight the table is. You got Bayer Leverkusen in 6th place on 16 points, and then it's just 1 point between them and AC Milan in 13th. It is so congested. Slovan Bratislava, meanwhile, I mean, they've been one of the worst teams in the Champions League so far. I mean, they and the young boys of Bern with 0 points apiece. Just 1 goal difference between them. Slovan Bratislava managed to avoid the wooden spoon thanks to Tolic's goal there. Something that he'll probably never forget, of course. But yeah, Bayern Munich well on top in this one. Absolutely dominated this game. Müller, Kane and Koeman with the goals on this one. So yeah, not really a surprise that Bayern Munich managed to win that, of course, and they do go into the playoffs, so they ended up qualifying in 12th place. Also into the playoffs are Borussia Dortmund. Shakhtar Donetsk, they had a very, very outside chance of getting through to the playoffs. Realistically, they had to win and hope that results went their way. Even with a win, as it turned out tonight, they still would have ended up in 27th place. A 3-1 loss for them. Dortmund, obviously, they sacked their manager Nuri Sahin recently, and it had the desired boost in the Champions League, at least, getting a victory there. They end up in 10th place, which is not really a bad effort, really, considering. I don't think that's a bad performance by Dortmund. They would have been hoping for more because they were definitely better early on in the Champions League. But yeah, as it is, they go through to the playoffs. And Shakhtar Donetsk, unfortunately, they go out. There's no team that drops into the Europa League. That is something that's changed for this year, something that I am very much in favour of. Let's go to Bayer Leverkusen next. They played against Sparta Prague. Of course, Sparta Prague already out of the competition. They had nothing to play for in this one. Leverkusen needed a win to go go through to the round of 16, and they did that. They did exactly that. A 2-0 win. Wirtz and Teller with the goals there, so very good for Xabi Alonso's men, the runners-up in the Europa League from last season, getting a very good result there. Also a good result for Arsenal as well. They managed to draw level with Barcelona thanks to a 2-1 victory over their nearby neighbours, really, at Girona, also from the Catalan region, of course. They dominated this game relatively, of course. Sterling missed a penalty. They had all their chances early on before the opening goal from Danjuma. Arsenal managing to get the victory, though. A penalty from Jorginho, and even Waneri, again, getting involved with goals. You know, that kid is really going to be something. So Arsenal are going to be a very tricky prospect in the Champions League. They go through to the round of 16 automatically. Girona, though, very much a one-season wonder in Spain. That single victory that their name during this competition, they end on 3 points and all the way down in 33rd. Font very much forget, but very memorable at the same time for them because it's their first ever Champions League campaign, first ever European campaign, I think, of any kind as well. Very, very impressive. So from the Catalan minnows to the Catalan giants, FC Barcelona. Atalanta actually took the lead early in this one. You know, Atalanta have been a real revelation in Europe. I'm really loving what they're doing. Oh, they're getting 9th place. They are so unlucky to miss out on the top 8 and going through to the round of 16 automatically. They're into the playoffs. Barcelona are through automatically. They are runners up, of course, in this one. Yamal and Araujo with the goals. Edison and Palasic with the goals for Atalanta there as well. But, you know, really, really eventful game. Atalanta definitely could have won this one, but overall, Barcelona were the better side, and Atalanta, I think, doing very well to get a point there, if I'm totally honest with that one. Brest have been a real revelation in the Champions League as well. They end up slipping down to 18th, which I think is a real injustice for them. They've been much better than that. They've been excellent at times during the Champions League, but the quality for Real Madrid eventually shone. They go up to 11th place. They do miss out on the top 8, but they will be a very tricky prospect in the playoffs, of course. 3 victories to end the Champions League league phase for them. Rodrigo with a brace and Jude Bellingham, that man again, with a goal there to end them on 15 points. Not what they wanted, obviously, but they managed to recover a decent amount after what has been, on the whole, a disappointing European campaign. Speaking of disappointing European campaigns, Manchester City, but they did manage to win this one. It did not look very straightforward for them. They dominated the early stages. They had dominated the possession, but it was actually Onyedika that got the opening goal for Club Brugge right before half time. But Man City, credit to them, they came out firing, all guns blazing in the second half. Kovacic and Savinho with the goals, and also Ordóñez with a own goal against his club there. Club Brugge go through by the skin of their teeth. They were on 11 points, so was Zagreb, but Zagreb's worst goal difference sees the Croatian champions head out. Manchester City, they climbed to 22nd because of that win, their first win in the Champions League, I think in 5 games. So yeah, really impressive for them in the end to get through, but it should not have been that close for them. They'll go into the playoffs. No one's going to want to play them, but I would not be very confident really when it comes to that. A very quick mention to Young Boys and Red Star Belgrade as well. Red Star managed to get the victory in that one. Young Boys finish on 0 points. This was one of the very few dead rubbers in the final day of the Champions League. Let's talk about Lille though. Oh my goodness me, Lille, what a campaign they've had. They beat Real Madrid earlier in the campaign. This, I would argue, is even more impressive. The pressure was on them. They were playing against Feyenoord, a Feyenoord side that managed to win 3-0 in their previous match against FC Bayern Munich. They are not a bad team at all, and Lille absolutely tore them a new one. They hit them for 6, a 6-1 victory for the French side with 4 shots on target. 3 own goals. Trauner got a brace into his own net, a brace of own goal. Also with the goals were Sarari, Jonathan David getting a goal, and Cabella as well. Jimenez got a goal for Feyenoord, but oh my word, man, what a win that is for Lille, and they're up in 7th. Incredible stuff. The French representative in the round of 16 currently is Lille, not PSG. PSG got a good win. We'll talk about them shortly. But yeah, incredible stuff. Flying the flag for French football are Lille. Very, very impressive. I am so impressed with them. But let's go on to the next game now. So the next one on our list is Juventus against Benfica. I think Benfica needs to get a result tonight. They need to get a win to be absolute, well, maybe a draw, just to be absolutely sure of going through. And they managed to get that. A 2-0 away victory against Juve. That is not to be sniffed at all. Pavlidis and Kokchu with the goals for the Portuguese side, of course. Very, very tragically and disappointingly getting that 5-4 loss last time out, but they enacted revenge on Juventus. The old lady very much took a beating there with that one, and they end up in 20th place. Juve, really poor Champions League by them. Benfica in 16th, that is not bad at all by anybody's standards, really. And let's move on. Let's head back to England, to Birmingham for Aston Villa against Celtic. That was very deliberate, don't worry. That was not me saying the name wrong by accident there. Yeah, Aston Villa, I mean, they had an Ozzy Osbourne tifo unveiled before the game, of course. Black Sabbath hailing from Aston in Birmingham, the area where Aston Villa are unsurprisingly located. And it was all aboard the crazy train for this one, because it was absolutely incredible. Morgan Rogers getting a brace in 5 minutes, and then it went straight back the other way. Ida with a brace in just a couple minutes as well, just after the half-an-hour mark there. And it was a relatively cagey game after that. Villa were definitely the better side, and they deservedly won. Ollie Watkins getting a goal on the hour mark, and Morgan Rogers rounding it off with a 91st minute 4th goal for Villa. A 4-2 victory for Aston Villa, and that is enough to see them through. They are through to the round of 16. They are 8th, the final team through automatically. Fantastic for them. Celtic, they end up in 21st, which I don't know if you count that as disappointing or not. I mean, they're through to the playoffs for sure. They would have hoped to be a little bit higher, but of course they are higher than the likes of Manchester City, Sporting Club de Portugal, some really big teams below them on a lot bigger budgets. So for Celtic to get through in any capacity, I think is a good Champions League campaign. But we'll see who they get in the next round in the playoffs to try and make it through to the round of 16. I feel so bad for Zagreb though. Oh my word, man. They managed to win. They beat AC Milan at home. Milan were in the top 8 before this. They dropped down to 13th. Unlucky for them, but unlucky for Zagreb. They're 25th. They're out. They are out. That's a huge win. I mean, all the experts were saying with 10 points you'll be through, definitely. You needed 11. You needed 11 points in the Champions League this time around. So it wasn't a bad guess, but that 1 point made all the difference, man. Baturina and Piacha with the goals for Zagreb. Captain America himself, Christian Pulisic, managed to equalise just after half-time. Musa got sent off just before half-time as well. Yeah, disappointing result for Milan for sure, but yeah, to play 50 minutes with 10 men would not have been easy, but yeah, it has to go down as a disappointing result for them. 4 wins in a row before this for Milan, and they are not into the round of 16 automatic. That shows you the standard. You needed 16 points to get through into the round of 16 automatic. That is no mean feat at all. A team that did manage that comfortably though was Inter Milan. A hat-trick for Lautaro Martinez. That sends them through into 4th place. Fantastic Champions League campaign for them. They're having a great season over in Italy as well. I think they're leading the Serie A. Monaco, meanwhile, they do drop to 17th. They were very impressive early on in the campaign. A really impressive win against FC Barcelona, of course, but unfortunately they do slip down to 17th. They're an unseeded team in the playoffs. That will not be a very envious position really for that. They just missed out on being in a seeded position there. Another dead rubber, one of the very few, of course, was Sturm Graz against RB Leipzig. Graz managing to win 1-0 against the German side there. Salzburg as well, they were already out, but Atletico Madrid needed to win to go through automatically, and they did exactly that. A 4-1 win, a very emphatic one at that. Giuliano Simeone, Antoine Griezmann with a brace, and Marcos Llorente with the goals for Atleti. A 91st minute goal back for Salzburg though. They do end up going out of the Champions League on a bit of a whimper. It's been a terrible campaign for them. Just that 1 win and 7 losses, a minus 22 goal difference. They have been absolutely hammered at times during this Champions League campaign, so I think they'll be a bit happy just to go back to the Österreicher Bundesliga, the Austrian Bundesliga, of course, over there. Bologna were also out in this one. They managed to get a draw though against Sporting Club de Portugal over in Lisbon. Not a bad result for them at all. A bad result for Sporting. They do end the Champions League on a bit of a whimper really. 4 games without a win, 3 of those losses. They managed to stop the rot really with this one. Conrad Harder with the only goal for them. Pobodega, I can't struggle to say that guy's name, whatever his name is. He managed to get the opening goal for Bologna, but the Italian side were already out coming into this one, come what may. So yeah, Sporting just hang on by the skin of their teeth into the playoffs. And the final game, Stuttgart against PSG. Stuttgart were in the playoff places as it was a start of the day, but they faced a tough test against PSG. PSG needed to get a win to get through automatically, and they did so. And they've done so as a seeded team as well. They've ended up in 15th position. Stuttgart in 26th and just heading out 10 points and heading out. That does seem harsh, but it's that format this This new format in the Champions League, it is brutal. It does not take any prisoners. And there we go, guys. Just to very, very quickly round off the placings then. So into the round of 16 automatically are Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter Milan, Atletico de Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, Lille and Aston Villa. Into the playoffs as a seeded team, Atalanta, Dortmund, Real Madrid, FC Bayern Munich, AC Milan, PSV Eindhoven, Paris Saint-Germain and SL Benfica. Going through to the playoffs as an unseeded team, AS Monaco, Brest, Feyenoord, Juventus, Celtic, Manchester City, Sporting Club de Portugal and Club Brugge. Heading out of the Champions League and out of Europe as well, Dinamo Zagreb, Stuttgart, Shakhtar Donetsk, Bologna, Red Star Belgrade, Sturm Graz, Sparta Prague, RB Leipzig, Girona, RB Salzburg, Slovan Bratislava, and Young Boys. We say Auf Wiedersehen to you all. Some great performances in there. I mean, Stuttgart, their first Champions League campaign ever, maybe, or for a very long time. Shakhtar, everything that's going on in their country. It's always good to see them representing Ukraine there. And Zagreb, so close. Big win on that final day, but not enough to go through. I will be bringing out a separate video probably tonight. I might as well do it, just going over who the sides are gonna get in the playoffs, because yeah, Manchester City, spoiler alert, they have a very, very difficult playoff. They will either face Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. Pick your poison. But by the same token, they won't want to face Man City either, considering the sides that are around them. So yeah, I will bring that out very soon. I hope that's a good rundown of all the results in the Champions League tonight. What do you think of the new format? I personally love it. It is absolute chaos. And we'll do it all again tomorrow as well for the Europa League. The Europa League has the same format, the same final day. Chaos is going to ensue on Thursday night. So we'll be here on thefootballchronicle.com to cover it as always. Hope you've had a good one, guys. Enjoyed this entertainment on Wednesday night. We'll do it all again tomorrow. You know how it is. The real ones are watching Europa League as well. See you soon, guys. Have a good one.